Hello.
Well, this is exciting.
It is.
I hope you're not too excited. Our first call ever. So, a little housekeeping. You can see that I'm in the Google document. I can see your cursor sitting there doing a lot of nothing. You can see mine.
Yes,
Isn't that
sir.
exciting? That's also exciting. So, the Google document is a great tool. This is why we use it. Who knows? The most immediate action is when the landlord says, well, I got 100 properties. I don't know where you're talking about. And you can type right there, it's behind the 7-Eleven, or there's two giant trees, or whatever. And I can see that
Hmm.
immediately communicate to the landlord. You'll see. Don't be afraid to type. I want to see you making notes on the document in the shared notes area while we make the call. First thing first,
Okay.
we've got one call for today, right?
Certainly. I just want to get my wiener wet on this one and make sure I do the next one better.
Understood. Hot dog moisture. Okay. So in this store in Huntsville, Alabama, first of all, our headline, and you'll learn this as we go, the headline is so that we can keep the stores straight. It's going to be something different. So a headline is not laundromat near two colleges, 2.9
Okay.
stars on Google. It's not that. It's just, I would just say closed for renovations is fine. And
Okay.
FYI, look, I would love to make one telephone call, scoop up a laundromat, and you're off and running with your first store. It does happen. But most of the time, we're hitting up lots of stores. So keep that in mind. And
Yes,
you'll
sir.
you'll figure it out. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. I'm hopeful, but not. I don't expect it to happen.
Well, now we're tacking back to psychology of your mental stability, and that's really not my thing. Keep an open mind, but be realistic.
Definitely.
Majors
Definitely.
management is the number, and then I'm confused because you say there's a toll-free number on the vinyl signage for the laundromat,
Yes.
or what?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's like
Okay.
a part of the, just like a vinyl signage on a vehicle. It was over
Yeah,
the
I don't.
window and it had that number
So I
on it.
don't need that.
So
I don't need
yeah, I
that.
didn't think so.
Don't need the number. All I need is what I asked for. So keep that for your notes.
Okay.
Front glass entrance next to a busy convenience store. That's good. And it's been locked and closed for renovations. Let's talk about
8
that.
months.
Sorry?
The last review on Google Reviews was 8 months ago. It's been like that. The attendant in the store in the gas station said it was for COVID. He couldn't really tell me the exact date, and so but he's been a while. And so it's his exact words. Looking at the pictures from the Google reviews that other people had done, it's at least 8 months. They have CRTs for TVs. They have, it's clearly deprecated. I mean, it's pretty old. The
All right.
equipment, like at least
Okay.
10
We're going
years
to
old.
call this guy and find out. But here's the truth of it: you never close your store for renovations. In
True.
all the stores that I had, the last thing you want to do is boot people out. It goes back to the pesky consumer, the customer that laundromat operators never think about. I do my laundry at this place. I don't like it, but I go there for whatever reason. Normally convenience. It's close to my apartment or my trailer, so I go there. If I close the doors, I'm forcing that guy or gal or family to find
Go
another
somewhere else.
service center.
Find somewhere they like better.
Don't close the doors ever. When we scoop up stores, if they have existing equipment, they boot the current operator. We take over. We're going to run it with signs everywhere promising new equipment on its way. They get excited, but you never want to lose that consumer. It's hard to get them back. That said, it's kind of bullshit that they say it's closed for renovations. It's that keep hope alive. It's not closed for renovations. Let's dial the number. You can mute your phone. Be prepared to take good notes. Like I say, right in the shared notes area. Doesn't matter what he says. Don't write it on a separate piece of paper. I like to check your work, if you will. Here we go.
We'll do. I'll mute.
Thank you for calling Majors Management. This is Heather. How may I help you?
Hi, Heather. Danny. I'm looking at some commercial space in Huntsville. I wanted to speak to an agent.
Available. One moment, please.
Thanks.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
my name's Danny. I'm looking at some commercial space here in lovely Huntsville. Wanted to discuss potential lease terms here. This is Meridian Street, 3310 Meridian.
Yes, just 1 second.
Thanks. Who am I talking to?
Vicky.
Vicky?
Yes, sir.
Hi, Vicky.
How are you doing today?
Well, I've got a horrendous cold, but other than that, everything's great. You know what they
Okay, at
say,
least other
money
than that,
isn't
everything's great.
money isn't everything. Health is 4%.
4%?
Yeah, it's a joke.
Okay. Okay. Okie dokie. The space that I'm showing that's available there is 1,750 square feet.
Let me stop you, my friend.
They're asking.
Vicky, I'm not after, quote, available space, actually. I'm interested in the laundromat at 3310. So that's what I do. Takes some explaining. My partner and I have been in laundries for 15 years. I'm always looking for space that already has infrastructure, gas, water, electric. This particular location's closed, and it looks as though you do have a tenant there, but I've been told, you know, we physically scout these locations looking for long-term lease availability. Then I retool the store. I put new equipment in. And I was told that it's been 9 months closed. So my intrigue is always in that infrastructure, in that space. And look, I want to be crystal clear from the beginning. If it's a good tenant, if they keep paying the rent, I wouldn't change a thing. But in this case, I also know that
We don't have a tenant in there.
I would never close my store either. So the renovation thing is not true.
Right. We do not have a tenant in there.
Good. Let's talk terms, and I'll move in and put some equipment in, if in fact you want to keep a laundromat there, of course.
Yeah, that I'm sure they do.
Okay.
One there, it'd be a lot easier.
Lovely. My questions are simple. You know, I'm not interested or intrigued by what happened with the previous operator. I know what happened. They didn't understand how to operate successfully. And it's really just equipment. It's not glamorous. It's not a sexy business. But if you have enough stores, i.e. us, you can do well. 2 questions. What's the square footage, and what is your asking rate on a 15-year term? We need long term because we're spending that money on washers and dryers.
I don't know. I'd have to even see if we do a 15-year term.
Okay. Again,
So
I can discuss intelligently why that matters for us. If the landlord...
I bet I already know, because you have to upgrade the equipment every 7 to 8 years.
There you go. Preaching to the choir. Good for you, Vicky. Yeah, you know, we're not going to dip our toe in the water and sign a 2 or 3 year lease and then spend hundreds of thousands on equipment. It wouldn't make sense for us fiscally. So it sounds like you need to find out for me.
Exactly.
We definitely want at least 2 retools in this case, the upfront and then the secondary. I've been doing this for that many years myself, so I know that it's going to work for us. Our rate is normally a little below asking for the area. Obviously, 2 reasons. It's still a laundromat. We still do half our business on Sunday. And second, like you said, we've got massive debt service. It's not a dollar store where we sell something that we buy for 50 cents for $1. It's not a nail salon or a yogurt shop. It's just different. So the ifs and whats, who's and buts, you know, it's up in the air whether or not we could do long term. The landlord looking to level the place at some point or something of that nature?
No, the most I've ever seen him in that is with the with the retool and all that is 8 years,
Mhm.
and he just likes to do less leasing time than that for some reason.
Sure. Well, I can say this: I'll happily do a 5-year lease with two 5-year options. I'm fine with that. He can have that out at some point. We're not going to leave, but as long as the verbiage makes sense and we have an addendum to that lease, I'm happy with that.
Okay.
That way, he's got a parachute at 5 years. If we're underperforming or failing to pay on time, which isn't going to happen,
Yeah.
he can do that. So that's fairly simple. I'll put that in writing. What's the exact square footage of the laundry?
1750.
Okay, and that's a good footprint for us. And what would be your asking rate on a long-term lease?
Well, the rent is 1750, and what I would do if I was you, I would just send a proposal
Mm-hmm.
and ask, I'm sure you can get it less than that. But also there is CAM, and I do not have that up here for some reason. It's taxes and interest on the property if there is any landscaping and the dumpster pickup.
Absolutely.
Is what that covers.
Got it. Well, I appreciate it. Yes, and the only reason I want to flesh this out with you is so that I don't send the LOI and it's ignored. Obviously we look for 80 cents, 75 cents a square foot to start. We can end up at $1. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do anything about your cams, Vicki.
Right.
I'd love to. And I've got stores in
and they'd probably do that. Hopefully they would do that.
Sure.
And I can give you my email if you want to.
Yeah, please. But
send it to me and then I can get
one more
the right
thing.
person.
Sure. One more thing. I'll get that email.
Yeah.
What type of abatement can you offer me long term?
They usually only do 3 months, but I would, I put in there what I wanted.
Okay. Well, they've been sitting on an empty space for how long has it been? I was told 8 or 9 months. Do you know how long it's been empty?
It has been about 8 or 9 months.
Okay. Our intelligence is good for once. Let me say this. We normally ask on a 15-year term, we ask for 12 months abatement, but let me explain why. It's not just getting the store retooled, which does take, obviously, time. It's moreover getting those consumers to come back. Every customer,
right.
And we're laundromat operators that actually think about the customer, imagine that. Every customer that was frequenting this store has found another service center. They're going somewhere else. No one piles
Correct.
the laundry up in their back closet and says, well, when this place reopens, I'll come back. It just doesn't work that way. So whether they love the new laundry or not, they've taken the time to research it. They're going there, pulling those consumers back that are different. I don't frequent laundromats. I assume you don't. It's just a different entity. So it does take a lot of time. And look, I don't want to come to you hat in hand in 6 months begging for a rent reduction. I want to stick to the terms that we agree upon. 9 months without rent.
Yeah, I would just put that in there and,
Sure.
and let's see what they say. That's,
Vicki, can you text me your email address? This is my cell that I'm on right now.
Yes, sir.
Great. What's your last name?
Okay. It came through to the office, so I don't have your cell. Give me your cell.
Absolutely. I have your
Ready?
number. This is your office number that I'm calling on, correct? All right. For the, if you haven't guessed, we're live right now on the YouTube machine. So when I plunk down the phone, I never know what's going to happen. But here's your first call. Now, I know what I think. I do a lot of these. And now the worst thing that could happen with you is you think every time we make a phone call, you're going to get yourself a laundry. Well, place is closed. And the sign that says we are retooling is not correct. Call it what you will. It was probably the previous operator, but that sends everyone into a tizzy. And for you, it's good news because when you retool, a couple of people will think, well, that entity is still here. They're coming back. They've kept hope alive. Here's where I ask, what do you think of what just happened?
I think it's a very positive opportunity that we will probably get an opportunity to get.
Well, now that I told you you're on YouTube, you start talking like a cop. Well, the vehicle was approximately. The great news is this. she said over and over, every time I try to negotiate and play that game, she said, just ask. Basically,
Yeah, she's been over.
Yeah.
She's been up and asked for it. Yeah.
She's basically saying, you'll get what you want. And
Mm-hmm.
why would they give us 3 months of free rent when they've already been 9 months without rent?
Right.
Doesn't make sense.
They're just throwing that out.
So here's the bottom line. Here's your first call. I'm going to put a letter of intent in front of you. Yes, we're going to ask for 12 months free. Yes, you're going to ask her for 75 cents a square foot. You'll see how the LOI fleshes out. It's all pre-done. And plug and play. Put in her email address, her full name, and your information. You don't respond to her if she calls back. And you're not going to send this thing in 5 minutes. We never send it the same day. We'll send it tomorrow. But first, email it back to me. I'll touch it up. I'll make sure it's golden. You're in the process. Also, don't lose sleep over this. It's not your store yet. Keep scouting, my advice. I could sit on my hands and say, wow, great. On to the next. I've got hundreds of clients all over the world, but I don't want to bullshit you. I want to tell you, this isn't your store until you're bleeding ink and losing money. So don't wait. Keep scouting, keep looking, keep putting stores in front of me. I've got an email to send her and you. So nicely done on this one. Keep looking. And don't forget, closed stores are great. We get excited, but the preponderance of the stores that we scoop up are operating very poorly.
Right.
All right,
I like
good.
how you didn't even ask her.
Say again?
After Wanda, I said, I like how you didn't even ask her how the previous operator performed badly, why they left the store. I thought that was
A, I don't care. And B, good point. That's a newbie mistake to call. If I were to ask her, what happened to the previous guy? I'm a rube. Suddenly now she's rolling her eyes and thinking, oh, great. Why did he even ask? I know what happened. Yeah. You know what happened.
Yeah.
Why did they close? For renovations?
No. They couldn't afford to run a business until
they closed because they weren't making money.
They weren't paying the bills.
I don't need to check my crystal ball or look back into the past of this operator. Maybe they bought the place, Chris. Maybe they bought it. And then they had this insurmountable debt of what's the typical laundromat go for? Don't even think about it. How much do they cost?
$200,000.
Yeah, you're close. 300. They all start at 300. Why? Ask them, is there a blue book? Where did you arrive at that price? I've asked that so many times. Well, that's what I paid for it 10 years ago. So I don't know. I also don't really care. I know by looking through the glass or the photos, this is not a well-run operation. We intend to change that, and she knows it. Yeah. She's not desperate, but in the verbiage, all I can do is talk to people. All I do is get on the phone. And she said, well, she didn't say, I've had these landlords that slam the door and, well, there's no way you're going to get that in this area. She's starting at $1 a square foot, which is where we need to be.
She's desperate.
All right. High fives all around. Wow. I've got some emails to send. Nicely done. Anything else?
No, sir.
Sleep tight.
All right.
Give me the YouTube thumbnail. What's the headline for this one?
Vivacious Vicky makes low offers.
Vivacious Vicky. You're insane. Goodbye. She was not vivacious.